Yes, and Machine Messiah from the album Topographic Drama. It's a new double live album, and of course it features Yes performing certain tracks from Topographic Oceans and the whole of the Drama album, which if you saw Yes last year, I'm pretty sure, was it the year before, Geoff, that you first did Drama? I'm losing track of the time now.
Before we did Drama, and then we took it to the States last year. So
right.
The thing is, with these albums that we've been doing, we've been kind of one territory is one step behind the other one. So yes. They get one album and then they get another one that they've not had before. So sales, obviously, we did in the States last year, and that's something that we've not been able to do in the UK up until this 50th anniversary.
Well, the great thing about Drama, and you know, I have been boring you to tears to do that for ages, as you know. You're probably thinking, well, that'll shut him up for 5 minutes, if nothing else. But
yeah, I think it was all down to you, John.
It probably was. I was going on about this for years. I was going on to Chris Squire to get you back in, back in, I think it was 2006, so you can probably blame me for that, I'm afraid. But there you go. But the great thing about Drama is it has been totally rehabilitated within the Yes catalogue by the fans, hasn't it?
Well, I think that as time has gone by, and that's quite a long time, 37 years, I think that it's been accepted as an important album in Yes's history. Not just this album that was a sort of a mismatch, or as some people said at the time, a mismatch of two guys from the pop world suddenly entering the inner sanctum of Yes's ethereal music. I think that people accept it as being actually a turning point in Yes's career that enabled Yes to continue to reinvent itself. When I think at the point of the way the three other guys were when Trevor and I joined them, Yes had reached really a bit of they hit the buffers, certainly with the album that they did in Paris in 79, I think they recorded that album with Roy Thomas Baker, and that was a disaster, in terms of the fact that they never got anything done. And so I think, Yes had reached their head stop at that point. And I think that quite a lot of people seem to forget that. They seem to think that, they should have just carried on. But in fact, I don't think at that point Yes were capable of carrying on. And I think that Steve, Alan and Chris were looking for something else. And it just so happened we were the two guys that they were looking for, and we sort of morphed into them. But I think what it was, John, we introduced a whole different style of music to Yes at that point. When Yes really needed it. And I think that, it was not so much just the musical aspects because of the Buggles. We were very kind of pop-oriented in terms of our hooks and the sounds we were using, the technology side of it. But the lyrics that Trevor was coming up with was these very kind of urban, high-tech lyrics that Yes had never had anything like that before. Their lyrics have been very kind of rustic, very, very esoteric stuff. And then all of a sudden there were these, there were these lyrics like Machine Messiah, that was a very kind of gritty, hard edge song.
I understand what you're saying there, but I still think that the lyrics for that are quite esoteric as well. I mean, they're well within the remit of Yes, because although it was, dark satanic mills and things like that, if you read the lyrics just sort of out loud as the lyrics are rather than away from the music, they are just as, if you like, away from the norm and the pop sensibility that Yes had been for many years before that. I mean, I understand with things like Man in a White Car and Tempest Fugit, there's that pop edge, and there's nothing wrong with that, which, of course, Yes went on to really do very, very well with the next album, 90125. But you kind of had a foot in both camps, really, with Drama, didn't you?
Yeah, I think so. And the fact that both Trevor and I were big pop fans and big Yes fans, funny enough, we saw that as an opportunity of utilising some of that stuff, not just channeling our energies into pop field, but also into a progressive rock field. And I think that we were very conscious that, we wanted it to sound like Yes, and certainly, I was using Hammond organs and acoustic pianos and all, stuff that was synonymous with a lot of Yes music before, but also adding some more, contemporary synthesizer sounds and stuff like that would sort of move Yes into a slightly different area. And so I think in terms of a collaboration, it was a very positive collaboration. I think that we were all going in the right direction. And having said all that, I think the key aspect of the album was that because the other three guys felt that maybe that now that Wakeman and Anderson were no longer there, they felt that they really had to play with the strength of 10 men each, and they certainly did. And certainly, if you listen to the drum tracks and the energy in the rhythm section, particularly in Steve's parts, that they really are playing way above their what they would normally have played, I think, at that time.
If you listen to the album, the original album, though, I mean, it's probably Yes's hardest rocking album, in my opinion, because I know they touched it a little bit on Going for the One, and I think that surprised a lot of people. But when people hear things like Machine Messiah, and definitely things like Tempest Fuges, and also Does It Really Happen? I mean, Yes were off and out the traps on those, weren't they?
Yeah, well, there was a ballad material was not something that was happening. Whereas if you went back to even Going for the One, you had Turn of the Century, which was really sort of, well, I would say a ballad, but it was a very, very kind of acoustic track feel. And then you had, Onward and stuff like that on Tomato. So, there was a soft side to Yes that was quite dominant, I think, in those last few albums. And I think that when we came out with Does It Really Happen and Machine Messiah, these were heavy-duty rock songs that Yes hadn't really been looking at for quite some time.
30-odd years on, what's it like to play as a whole album?
Well, I think because it's such a high-energy album, it's a fantastic album to play live, and you probably thought about that when you mentioned it all those years ago, to take it out live, because it's so impactful and it doesn't let up, really. I mean, maybe Run Through the Lights a little bit, more kind of laid back and more, I don't know, it's not got an intensive rock feel to it.
No.
But
it's the light to this. It's light to the very dark shade of the rocking stuff, though, isn't it? Which Yes were very, very good. It was one thing Yes always were very, very good at. It's the dynamics.
Yeah, that's correct, and I think that's one of the things why their music has managed to stand the test of time for 50 years. Is that the dynamics in it is the thing that really attracts people to it, because it's not just a linear presentation, and I think from a live standpoint, that really makes a difference as well, because you're not just sort of full on. It's not like a thrash metal band, where you've got sort of two hours of full on.
Yeah.
There are all the quiet moments and the big crescendos and everything like that. It's very much like a classical music piece is put together.
Yeah. And
so I think that's possibly why Yes music has stood the test of time, and why these albums are so great to play live, because of their dynamics and their moods and the way that Yes use motifs and transport them to another level further along the line. It is a very, very classical approach to the music.
Well, you mentioned classical, of course, and there's a lovely bit of toccata right in the middle of Machine Messiah, of course.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, put a little bit of that in there, the toccata, I mean, there is a lot of classical music in Yes. If you listen to the power of the themes of Vanju and I, it's all those majestic chords, and the way that the melody comes back time and time again. You've had this whole thing about the way that's approached. I mean, even if you're just a musicologist, just to sit back and look at Yes's music almost from an armchair perspective, and you could see that how intricate they put that stuff together, and what work went into that. Experimenting with all the different styles and influences.
We're going to go out with Tempest Fusion in a second. What I will do is I'll apologise for pestering you over the years, and God bless him, I pestered Chris as well.
Yeah. I'm sure you'll be pestering me about another album. So.
I'm sure I will. I knew I was right when I saw her on the tour, because, as you know, I was on the last Yes tour in the UK, and every night Drama got a standing ovation. So
yeah, and then to start with Machine Messiah, it's a mouth-watering piece to kick off with,
it is.
And I think that sort of gets the fans on side in a way, because they see what a powerful piece it is. I think Billy's done a great job on the production. I think the band played great, and the band continues to play great.
I've got to ask you one question, because there's lots of people asked me to ask you, and I'm going to ask Steve as well. Why did we not have the live version of Trevor singing Tempest Fugit? Because I know he did do a couple of dates in America. He did one in Oxford, and I think he did the Royal Albert Hall, because I was talking to him at the Royal Albert Hall.
And he also did one in Santa Barbara. I don't think we got a good enough recording of it. I think that was part of the problem.
That's a shame.
So, unfortunately, that didn't happen. But I'm seeing him next week. I'll see if he can put one together.
Yes, please do. I'd love to hear it, because it was great to see him up there doing that. But when I talked to him after the tour, he said, "God, I had to rehearse." He said, "I was only doing one song, and I was going, God, I've got to be good here."
Yeah, no, it would have been nice to have him on a couple, but I think that was the one that we felt was going to be the most impactful for him.
Well, of course, your next big thing, I'll be working with you again, Cruise to the Edge, February 2018 out of Tampa. And I'm not going to put you on the spot and ask you, because I'm sure it'll probably be changing even as we're talking now. But what I do know is that I'm sure it's going to be an absolutely fantastic gig, because that is slap bang in the middle of the 50th anniversary year for Yes, really, isn't it? And you guys have been working up to this very much so.
Yeah, it's a fitting way to start the year, I think, because the cruise is always great vibe, and particularly with this show, we've got Steve Hackett and Marillion on the bill, so it's and a whole host of other great bands. So I think it's going to be a pretty spectacular cruise, this one. I mean, they've all been great, and we've enjoyed them all, but so I think this one's going to be extra special. I'm
looking forward to it. I know the band are as well, and I know a lot of fans are, and it's like I said, it's become a regular date in the calendar, and everyone who goes on it has a fabulous time. Yeah. The new album, it's out in November. It's called Topographic Drama by Yes, double live album. You've got to get it. Geoff is just one of the members of Yes I'm speaking to. You're the first one I'm speaking to about it, actually, so you're very honoured.
Well, I hope that the others can concur my enthusiasm for it.
Cheers, Geoff.
Nice talking to you, John.
You're listening to Classic Rock Radio.